name is Dev Randhawa. I'm Chairman and CEO of F3 Uranium. We are completely focused on the Athabasca, looking for uranium. We've been very fortunate to make 3 discoveries over the last decade. And as of this weekend, we made another one.
He made another one.
Another one.
Let's be clear what discovery means, okay? Because everyone's been waiting for you to make that next discovery.
Right.
So define discovery for me.
Well, in the Athabasca, what makes it different than Namibia and anywhere else is high-grade uranium. If you look at the JR zone, it's averaging 2.4%, sometimes 4% in parts, very high grade. So you have to be high grade to a discovery. And so to do that, you have to drill and hit something over 10,000 counts per second CPS. So we have just done that. On the weekend, we found 23 meters of highly radioactive material, and in it there were parts over 37,000 counts per second. So we know we've hit something. Now, obviously, you've got to drill more and find out how big it is and etc.
Yeah.
But the fact is, the mineralization is over 33 meters, and JR zone is only 22 meters. So we know it's a larger area, and we've hit the magic numbers, 10,000 counts per second.
Let's talk about how you report that CPS. Different companies report it in different ways, so it's very hard to kind of interpret. So over 10,000 is high grade, but again, explain that in terms of people who recognize it, but maybe compared to others.
Sure. Well, an example, when we did it in the past, the unique thing about uranium drilling, you don't need assays to know if you've hit something. With gold and copper, you absolutely have to do the assays, because you can have, for example, I know I've seen it myself in copper, you can have a smear, people get all excited, do the assay, there's nothing there. So uranium exploration is very unique. You get 2 kind of hits from it. When you first thing you look at it, you can smell it. It's a bad smell. It's black pitch blende. So when you get this really black stuff, you know it's high grades. So you can see it, you can smell it, and then we run our scintillometer over it, and basically it's doing exactly that. So it's different ways we know we've hit. It's black, smells, and those are more than 10,000 counts per second. Now, when we get the assays, we'll know exactly how good. It's not a linear equation where if it's 10,000 counts per second is this percentage, 37,000 is there. It's not a linear. Right. It can go up to like on JR zone, we had a uranium up to 60%. At Christmas, we put our JR zone was 4 meters of 50% uranium. We didn't know at the time. We know it hit over counts per second, but it's not a linear equation between counts per second and assays and getting percentage. So some people say over 10,000 counts per second, it means 1 to 2% uranium, but they don't know what 37,000 counts is. So that's what I think the market is missing. As the stock hardly moved yesterday, we put the news out, is that it's a big area. 33 meters is a huge area for uranium, and the best we've ever had before was 22. So we've got 50% larger area already to explore.
Right.
And thankfully, we have the money to do it.
Okay, so discovery is what people have been waiting for you to announce, right? Because you got one, and I guess the next difficult bit was like going and finding more of these things for you. So let's talk about how do you get after working out what the scale of this thing is, right?
And that's the purpose. We up in Canada with the roads are winter, we have breakup. Because if you can't work during breakup when it's starting to thaw, because these roads will become crap. So you got to get out of there.
Yeah.
So we're just finishing that. So there'll be a breakup of a few weeks, so the roads get dry again,
right,
and we can go back on. So it's breakups. But when breakup is done, we're going to go back in there and start firing, like we did before.
Right.
Like I said, had this discovery not happened, I would have come in here and said to you, hey, guys, we've got the money, we got the best technical team, we've fission energy, we sold to Denison, and at Christmas time, FCU, which would be F2, sold for almost 1.1 billion to Paladin.
Yeah.
And then we have F3. Now we found another discovery. So that would I would have told you, because people want to see blue sky. And people were worried over at JR Zone that was the biggest it was going to get. And therefore there's a limit to it. But they want to see blue sky. Now we have tremendous blue sky.
Okay, so that's good news. What depth are we talking about? I mean,
This is at 400 meters, 380, still pretty decent.
Yeah.
Some of our competitors that are 1,000
Yeah.
or like 800.
Yeah.
Our JR zones at 200 meters. This is 400, so it's pretty good. And again, it's the area that it's in. It's only 5-6 miles from Triple R, where Paladin has, or NexGen has Arrow.
right. And why do you think market's not reacting? Because, you know, the few of your peers have kind of made some super high grade announcements. They've announced it like as in percentage terms.
Yeah.
And the market sort of understood that and reacted. Is it the way that you're reporting it, or are they expecting more?
I just think the time we're in right now, I think
Yeah.
that the bigger issue is that the tariffs, people have this idea, first of all, overall market is spooked.
Yeah.
What is going to happen, how much tariffs are really going to be, because one day they're on, one day they're off.
Yeah.
So I think that uncertainty is pissing a lot of people off. They're pulled their money out of the market, saying when that comes in. So it's a big market, and also there's some people think in uranium that have Putin and Trump, become friends and they cut a deal. There's all this uranium sitting there in Russia that's going to flood the market because it wasn't allowed to before.
Yeah.
It's not true.
Yeah.
First of all, most of the uranium they have is in Kazakhstan, and that's the #1 producer in the world. But they just right across to China.
that's kind of
Right.
China,
It ain't ever making its
Yeah.
way to America.
Yeah.
America doesn't need it. America needs 50 million pounds a year. They're not even producing 1 million. I doubt they did a few 100,000 last year. So there isn't, what Russia does have is a processing, which is what I think America needs to move, obviously have their own in terms of energy security. But no, I think had that made that announcement in a better market, would have jumped 25-50%, if not more.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's a difficult time out there. People trying to make the call, not just in terms of the broader market, but also uranium spot price down, which is the thing that people gravitate to when they're making decisions. And yeah, I think term contracts being slightly opaque, it's a bit hard to work out. I think the general feeling is that we're sort of around $80 at the moment.
Yeah, that's
It's still
the number
not
that
an
counts.
incentive price, right? So how do you play this going forward? Have you got money to kind of move the drilling forward?
Yeah, we were in the middle of raising money before. Now we'll obviously will, because we have
Yeah.
reason to now.
Yeah.
So let's see what the market does the next couple of days. If it settles down, we might. But we have about 17 million already. So
Okay.
we'll probably, if we do raise it, we want enough money to go through the summer.
Right, and so, I mean, 17 million, that's a chunk of change. You're a rarefied air,
absolutely,
quite
yeah.
frankly, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people would love 17 million, but you control the speed at which you deploy that. That's one of the levers available to you. But do you want to kind of get after this thing because you're trying to... Here's the thing, Dev.
The drill will determine it. If we
Yeah,
hit another big hole,
absolutely.
then we'll say, fine, 2 drills.
Okay.
That's what you do.
I think the big discussion point in the market at the moment, certainly there's kind of big reaction to anything that we put out on this topic, is this. It's no longer a demand conversation. Where's, will the demand be there? Then, but if the demand didn't increase 1 iota from today onwards, we're good.
We're fine.
The problem is supply into the market. Where is it going to come from? How quickly can it get there? That's the big problem at the moment.
And I hate to tell people this, but I love my friends in the industry. I love, the Encores and everybody, good guys, but they've all not performed.
Yeah.
Same thing in, like it unfortunately happened in Namibia. They got water problems, so they've got this. There isn't anybody that I can think of has met their targets.
Yeah.
Because cost of doing business is much higher than we think.
Yep.
There's still red tape and permitting in the United States. I'm hoping this new policy, the Trump administration, they can get critical elements going quicker.
Yeah.
In Canada, it's 17 to 18 years to put a mine in production. Namibia, it's 2. Not that we need to be 2, but there's got to be some middle ground somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think mining's tough, right? I said this in our show this week. Mining's tough, and things do take longer, and things do fall over.
Yeah.
No matter what the skill sets are, please expect that. Reset your expectations a bit. But Namibia with Paladin, we saw that. Niger, obviously, all sorts of problems there at the moment. And Africa generally, so not performing. Canada, slow. US, barely producing the pounds required. And as you say, the Eastern Bloc is kind of selling their stuff further east.
Well, yeah, they're not coming.
Right, so the US has got a problem to solve for
It
here.
does. It's a massive.
So how do you see the market playing out now? Because we talk about this tightly coiled spring all the time, and it's clearly all the catalyst moments are coming and going, and nothing's changing. What's is there control in the market from somebody that don't appreciate?
I just think one of the drivers, okay, it's unrelated, is when I have a bull market, things like yellow cake and spot, they would go in the market and eat up any loose, and you keep it moving.
Right.
So they're trading at 20% discount.
Yeah.
Which is not good, but it's a great buy because eventually that closes. Uranium is different than gold and copper. What's the demand? You don't really know. But when uranium is straightforward, you've got so many reactors, so many being built. They tell you exactly how much pounds they need, whether they're 500,000 or 1 million pounds the first year. It's there. There's a huge deficit, and when investors are forgetting that when fear hits markets, people lose rational thought. They forget that Microsoft has gone to 3 Mile Island and said we need it all. They forget that Amazon wants to set up their own reactors. You couldn't pick a perfect storm for nuclear power. We just need lots of energy as long as AI has where it wants to go. Crypto, electric cars, any of these, enough. We need lots of power. So, and ideally clean power. Right, and ideally, and there's nothing cleaner than nuclear power.
It just kind of, I get that, and I say the demand side sorted, but it feels like the kind of narrative and story, the sector needs to get his act together. If it doesn't, and I'm talking the uranium guys specifically.
Well, it's utilities. I think what happens is utilities aren't moving. They're very slow to move.
What do they know that we don't?
They don't, but they've always been slow.
Right.
When they'll sit there, do nothing when it's $40 and start thinking about it at 100. But also remember that even if these tariffs are hit, that's tariff. Let's say Canada gets hit with a tariff of 25% of uranium. Let's say that. So right now it's about 4% of the cost of running a reactor. Oh my gosh, it's at 5 now. It's not going to stop a reactor being built. Uranium can go up 25, 50% is not much of an impact of running a reactor. So tariffs don't matter to nuclear power because the input costs. It's just like people are worried about their cell phones. Oh my gosh, it's got 25%. No, it's 25. It's a 25% hit or 100% hit on the input.
$100.
On $100, it costs them. Or Nike, the shoes cost $3 and they sell them for $100. Right. It's the input that's going to go up, not the
total
retail
sale.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you talk about potential, people worried about Trump cozying up to Putin and then maybe flooding the market and all of that sort of stuff. And also heard something out of Bill Sheriff talking about, well, he doesn't name names, but he's saying he was speaking to someone and it's clear that some of these, whether it be Sput, whether it be Yellow Cake, one of these guys was actually maybe releasing some pounds back into the market directly to utility. And it's like, something they said they would never do, right from day one, right? Could you believe that would be true?
I don't see that because they'd be hurting themselves. They don't need, it's not like they need money. Now, Peter Groskopf started that, and now it's in the hands of John and others at Spot. I don't see them doing that. But you got to remember the uranium from, there's always 100,000 a year, very little. But people forget the long term is 80. That's the number, not 63, 67. It's 80 is in the, but I don't think they are. I don't think they would, because to stab themselves, it's like stabbing yourself in the leg with a fork. Why would you do it?
Yes. I don't understand. And I've got John Champag on this afternoon. I'll ask him. So please, we'll see where we go. The other thing we've got to come back to is you and how you play the market in this way. So we've described some of the macro things going on, all the variables and unknowns going on there. I guess your responsibility is make discoveries, go through the phases, do the economic studies, and then do what, an FT type scenario?
Absolutely, because we've already spent on F4. Hey, you know what? Just stepping back, I began this whole thing from advice from Rick Rule. And he always said, you are either a contrarian or you are a victim. You picked. So for us, this is the hard thing. We're doing this interview, And unfortunately, people are so scared they won't click on this interview because they're so scared of the market. They've been beat up now for about 18 months. They're scared to put bids in.
Yeah.
But this is the time people need to be buying.
Yeah,
Because
load up.
this is the easy money. When it changes, everything jumps up 20, 30%. By that time, people are late getting in. So I think people just got to step back and say, uranium is different. The input cost is very little part of the overall equation. Number two, we need power. And America will never, like the 50 million pounds and all the hoopla and everybody, says, punching their chests. What did they produce last year?
Yeah, not a whole bunch.
Yeah,
not a whole
even
bunch.
less than 1 million, if not that.
Yeah.
And many of those companies put out different targets. Never met any of them, not one.
Yeah, no, we've done a few shows on this now, and just talking about, because we're looking at the kind of red book which came out last week, in terms of what expectations, and they're using 2021 data, so it's already significantly out of date. But that's the book that came out recently,
Yeah.
And it's, you look back and go, who's done what against what they declared to the market. No one's close. No one's close. Like, it's not even no one's achieved it. No one's close to what they were predicting, and that's the problem in supply here. I guess that what will make, if you build things out the right way, and will make you guys attractive. So can you describe the type of company that you need to create to be attractive for a Paladin, say, to come in? Or
Always got to get more. We have to show. Well, last time we spoke, I said people want to know, is the PLN, is it a one-trick pony or is there blue sky? Well, this discovery in the weekend shows us a lot of upside. We've got, like I said, over 33 meters of mineralization, and the best we ever had at JR zone was 22.
Right.
So 50%, we got it there. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah.
So we got more blue sky. In order for us to find a buyer,
Yeah.
whether it's a Paladin or a NexGen or whoever is out there or something, the other ones, the Aussies are a bit more, their market caps are higher. They naturally, because the way the pension funds have to buy ASX listed stocks.
Yeah.
And so if you're not listed, they can't buy you. So that's why, when that takeover happened with Paladin and FCU, people saying it's not a good deal because they were trading at 1 times NAV, and Ross and the guys were trading at 0.6. So
Yeah.
they're not trading it. So I see Aussie companies probably a bit more able to use their market caps to come into.
like Boston.
Boss is doing it in the U.S.
Encore, yeah.
And then you see Paladin coming here.
Yeah.
I just know, I just had a text with somebody in the region, and he says, Dev, this whole area is massive. There's so much uranium in this little area, and we're showing it.
Yeah.
Like, it was Lee. It just, have just seen their drilling, that crazy drilling that they're doing over there. Big numbers. We're hopefully getting some big numbers. It's a very pregnant area.
Right. And I'm just thinking on the M&A side, right? Because that way you kind of get a kind of real bump in the stock if people think that you're a takeover target. And in the gold space, what big companies are quite good at doing is buying other companies. We're saying, no, they'll never take stuff out of the ground because they just need their reserve and, certainly the resource, and then especially the reserve numbers to be bigger because there was the, drilling and other better assets. And that's what the institutions need to see. They want to see that reserve and number get bigger. So it's never coming out of the ground. With uranium, you kind of feel it's kind of got to come out of the ground, right?
Yes.
Because there's not enough of this stuff,
Just
right?
there's not enough energy
So
anywhere.
the economics around what you're doing is going to be super, super important. This isn't a case of we just drill and we put it out there. We got pounds in the ground. That worked in the old days. It kind of worked even with UVC, right? They've kind of got a lot of pounds in the ground. It worked for Downstream, but a lot of pounds in the ground. I think UVC's produced 1 drum so far, right? It's not a whole bunch of yellow cake. So at some point, you've got to convert that pounds in the ground to actual cash.
Right.
Not stock market, actual cash to justify it. And there's a lot of backfilling to be done there. For you guys, when you get someone coming in,
Just take out.
Right.
We're not in the business of mining. We'll leave that to Amir. We'll leave that to
Right.
Bill and the guys. They can do that.
Yeah.
We find it and sell it.
And
we did it.
there's the
Like I
money.
said, we did it with Strathmore
Yeah.
Energy. Like we talked before, if you owned a share of our company in 2007, okay, you look in your account today.
Yeah.
And see 5 different stocks from the one stock. We find something, develop it, sell it, take the non-core stuff, find something, develop it, sell it. And now this discovery shows, like I said, most people don't find 2 discoveries. No one else has. We're on our 4th now. Yeah. So this discovery is the JR zone is 25 kilometers away from Arrow and the Paladin, and this one is halfway down.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, and so
Just down from NexGen.
yeah, just well, their congestions would be here.
Here.
We're over here,
Yeah.
and JR's up there.
JR's up there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So we're in that area,
Right.
You know, and it was just shrewd on our behalf of our.
Right. But you're right.
technical
You're right.
team.
It's cookie cutter. We'll just follow the same. If it works, don't try and and
But
reinvent it.
it's easy. Anybody can say, "I was here. We're going to find it and sell it." Have you done it before?
Yeah.
We can
interesting.
say
Yeah.
we've done it 3 times before.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to be able to raise money, have the right people to use that money wisely, drill, find something, you got to monetize it. Yeah. We have proven we can get land when 100% owned. All our properties are 100% owned. We don't joint venture into them, but they come to us.
Right.
We're asset rich, people very strong, cash there is, and the idea is to find something, develop it, and let like Paladin or NexGen or ISO or whoever is out there.
Right.
They're the ones that want an incubator. That was the whole idea of Paladin when they speak. They say, well, we've got maybe Langer Heinrich, and then we're going to have Triple R, and then they claim they're going to have Michelin out in the East Coast. They're just not have a pipeline. Well, that's what everybody wants. They want to have their mine, plus they want a pipeline. When this runs out, this kicks in.
Yeah.
That's what Campbell is doing as well.
Yeah.
They got Cigar Lake, when it runs out, they turn on with Carson.
Okay, so just finish with this one, which is you explained maybe why people didn't react as the way you had hoped because of everything going on in the marketplace, which is fair enough. What would you urge them to look at in terms of being able to properly value what you announced?
I think we may have to help with that. I think we need to show the historical that when we had these, accounts per second coming out, how did that relate to assays later?
Yeah.
So I might ask my team to put together something and saying, in the past, this is what happened. We're not saying it's a predictor, but look, you don't get this kind of BIP without something really good coming out.
Yeah.
And so we're doing another hole right away, just so we can confirm what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then take a break with snow melts and things clean up, and we'll go right back in. But it's very exciting. And like I said, the boys, when it's exciting for me to get excited, but when your technical people are just jumping off, they're like Samba, so it could be the best we've had. Like, it's just so much. 33 meters is a lot, because usually you only get this much, but this is, it's pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
New discovery. Well done.
Thank you.